What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another Pokemon VGC video. This has been a highly requested video that I've gotten a fair bit on my channel here. I've talked numerous times about how to get into competitive Pokemon and how to actually start playing competitive Pokemon, especially on the VGC side of things. I don't really dabble in singles, but a lot of people have questions on getting into VGC based on the previous videos that I've made, and some people have asked for the best resources and tools to get into VGC, and that is exactly what I'm going to break down for you guys today. This is the stuff that I use for my team building and things of that nature to get into competitive, how I learned to play competitive, and it all comes down to practicing and using these tools and just kind of getting into the competitive scene. So first and foremost, this is Pokemon Showdown. This is a website that you can use, and you can go in and build teams. Not only can you build teams, you can also battle in pretty much any format that you can think of, right? So there's still Reg G stuff available. You can play Reg G until the end of Reg G. Maybe you're going to Worlds, whatever the case may be. But if you're interested in getting into Reg H, the next format that starts in September, Reg H is already available on Pokemon Showdown. You're able to go in, there's best of 3, which also includes open team sheets to allow you to practice for local tournaments, as well as practice for Limitless tournaments, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. But there are formats for everything, especially if you're into the singles formats. There are singles options here as well. Random Battle is my favorite singles format to play on Showdown, but there are a ton of different formats that you can participate in here on Showdown, and there's also tournaments that are held on Showdown that you can participate in as well. But this is easily the best tool that you can use to play competitive Pokemon, because look at all of these teams, and all these teams are saved in your browser data. But not only are they saved in your browser data, you can actually go in and save them to your account. So wherever you log in, you can then load up the teams that you have saved to your account, which is incredibly useful for a competitive Pokemon player that maybe is traveling using Showdown on multiple devices, such as like your iPad or something, as well as your PC, using it on your cell phone. This is just a fantastic website. Like, you can see this is my most recent Kneeckoh Games team that I used, and again, I made the team on here before I made it in game. And the best part about this is that alone, you can build teams on here, you can battle with the teams, test and tweak them before you actually build those Pokemon teams in game and waste all of your resources if something doesn't fit quite right. So I think that this is easily, far and away, the best tool that you can use to get into competitive Pokemon. Everything is available. If you go to build a new team, you can select the format that you're building the team for, and then when you go to add a Pokemon, it'll only list the Pokemon that are available in that particular format. So I selected Reg H, and notice there's no restricted legends, there's no legends anywhere in sight. This is just the Pokemon that are available in this particular format, and you can look at different things. So say I'm looking for a water type, right? I want a water type and I want some priority, so I want something that has Aqua Jet. I can put in both of those filters, as you can see right there, and I can look through a list of Pokemon and be like, okay, these are the Pokemon that fit that category, fit this use case, and I can select a Pokemon from that list, like Basculegion or Azumarill, things like that. It is an incredibly useful tool, and again, you can test things. That is the most important part of Showdown. You can test things before you build them in game. So again, looking at my Kneeckoh Games team, I was able to go in and say, okay, these are the Pokemon I want to try and use. Let me run a couple games, see how it feels, see what changes I need to make. I can do the same. This is a Dozo team that I've been messing around with for Regulation H. Same concept. You're able to go in and just kind of start testing things out, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and it is incredibly useful. But this is mainly for the team building side of things. There's not a whole lot of usage stats here that are at your disposal. As far as usage stats go, the first website that I always like to mention is Pikalytics. This is a fantastic resource that you can use. This is another website. Go ahead and bookmark all these. I'll have them linked in the description below, but bookmark all of these tools because they are absolutely phenomenal. So this is a really useful tool as well. Pikalytics here will show you the use stats for each Pokemon in the format. It'll tell you, looking down the list here, you can see the percentage of teams that they are on and how they are going to be used. So let's say we want to talk about Goldango. We can look at Goldango. It's at a 20% usage rate. It's a very popular Pokemon in the format right now. We can look at what moves are most popular on this Pokemon. you're able to see, oh, most of these are running Make It Rain, Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball. You see there's Trick on here, which means that it's likely that there are people running this with, you know, a choice item, particularly Choice Scarf, to be able to trick the item onto another Pokemon and then be able to start setting up. Very, very solid tool here to be able to see what Pokemon are using, how they're being used by other players in the format. You can see what Terra types are incredibly popular on these Pokemon. You see Terra Steel is far and away the most used, but then also Dragon is incredibly popular on Goldango. You can see what teammates are really nice, and this helps with the team building process. You're able to look and go, oh, this is working with this because of XYZ. You can see what teammates are making sense next to a particular Pokemon, which helps you when you go back to Showdown to be able to actually put these teams together and test things more effectively. So a really useful tool here in the form of Pikalytics. But another useful tool is LabMaus. This is another fantastic website that I use constantly, mainly because it does, like Pikalytics, show you what Pokemon are very popular in the format based on tournament results. You can look at this list and see what is popping up here and there, what is incredibly powerful in the format, and you can actually click on a Pokemon and you can go, okay, Pokemon usage, how are the usage stats looking? Based on certain tournaments that they are calculating from, you can see where the Pokemon rises and falls in the metagame. You can see what items are incredibly popular, like Assault Vest is far and away the most popular item on Rillaboom here. Terra types, Fire is far and away the most popular Terra type. You can look at moves. All these moves are incredibly popular here, and abilities, obviously Grassy Surge, far and away the best ability on Rillaboom. And you can look at teammates as well. You can see what percentage of teammates are popping up as team building aspects for this particular Pokemon. But the thing I like the most about LabMaus is they actually go into tournament results. So right, they cover every freaking tournament available. They cover everything from regionals to internationals to the world championships that will be on here. They'll cover Limitless tours. Like, everything is here at your disposal. So we can look and say, okay, I want to look at a Regulation H tournament. We see here 31 players in this one. Let's click on this one. Let's see what it looks like. It loads up and we can look at what teams did well in this particular tournament. We can see, okay, Spam won this tournament, or Overquill with Rain actually did incredibly well in this tournament. We could see what archetypes are performing well. We could compare and contrast between different tournaments and see what is actually working to see where we want to go with our team building strategy. We can look at what Terra types are most popular. We can look at this, and they even provide open team sheet rentals that you can look and paste into your Showdown and then apply your own EV spreads. So you can see what exactly each thing was running. So you can look and say, oh, Indeedee was doing Alluring Voice, Follow Me, Helping Hand. This one had Hatterene, obviously Expanding Force on this. You can see exactly what these teams are doing and why they performed well. And you can kind of use this as a template to build your own teams in competitive play. And I think this is a fantastic resource to be able to see what is working and how you can make adjustments. This is how I build a lot of my teams, is I look and I see what is popular, what is doing well in a format, and what can I do to tweak those particular teams. An example of this is one of my more recent teams that I built that I actually took to a local. Right, in Reg G, Kyogre was doing incredibly well with Iron Jugulus and Wo-Chien, but also Overquill was seeing a spike in use, and I thought it would be really fun to make an Assault Vest Ogre team with Water Spout and Origin Pulse, and then go in with an Overquill and a Glamora with Mortal Spin to be able to go in and enable my Overquill. And this was a really fun team. It turned out to be a better best of 1 team than a best of 3 team, but it was still an incredibly fun team that I had a blast with. There's a video on the channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, that's what I do. I go in and I see what works and how can I tweak it to fit a play style that I want to use. It's a really useful tool to be able to use LabMaus in that function. Now, once you get through team building, you got some practice in, maybe you want to get some practice against other players in a best of 3 format. You're trying to get in, you're trying to learn how to play it like locals. Maybe you want to compete in the next VGC season and see if you can make a worlds run. Limitless is the best resource for finding tournaments. You can get in. Most of these are free to register for. You can look, like Beanie Brawl is, this one was today, actually. This is happening at the time of recording. This is tonight. You can get into the Beanie Brawl, free entry, best of 3 tournament, no top cut, X2 cut, open team sheet. It is just like a tournament format, and you're able to go in and get actual best of 3 practice with open team sheet, just like you would at a local, just like you would at a regional. You're able to get that practice from this resource. It's very, very useful. There's tournaments happening constantly in all different time zones. You're able to get in and figure out what's happening when and participate in these tournaments. And this is the best way to practice, in my opinion, to get ready for a regional. I went to Indianapolis Regional, and me and my buddy Will, we were doing a bunch of these tournaments together. We'd sign up together. We actually played a couple times in these tournaments, and we just saw what we would see going into the tournament, how our teams would fare, what tweaks we needed to make before we went to the regional. This is a fantastic tool to get in and actually utilize what the meta is actually going to be, utilize what the format is and how to actually play in the format in a best of 3 scenario, because laddering is a best of 1. It's closed team sheets. It's not how regionals and locals actually happen. So if you're trying to get into the more advanced levels and you're trying to go to events, this is the best way to practice, hands down. I also want to highlight the Pokemon Event Finder. This is the official Pokemon website, and this helps you track down what events are happening in your area. If you're trying to get into the local scene, I know I myself personally, I have a lot of life stuff going on right now. My wife and I are trying to buy a house. So we're trying to save some money, so I won't be going to as many regionals as I would like to have this season. So I'm just going to be a local warrior. I'm going to hang out with some friends at locals, and I'm going to play in events that are nearby and just have some fun playing Pokemon. If you're looking to get into the local scene of competitive Pokemon, this is the best way to do it, because you can go in and you can type wherever you live. So I'm just using New York as an example. You can go in to New York, you can see a bunch of trading card stuff, you can turn on the filter for video game, and you can see all of the events that are happening in New York in the area that you type into your search bar here. So there's one on August 17th, August 19th, August 18th. You can see where all these are at. You can see what the requirements are by clicking on one. You can say, oh, this one has a $5 entry fee, or this one has a $10 entry fee, or this one's free to enter. And you can see all of that information here on this website. See what is available in your area. You can change the filter based on distance. You can say, I want to see in 50 miles to my location. And you can see that number jumps dramatically. All of these are hosting events in a relatively soon time frame. You can see what's happening, where you want to go, where you want to play Pokemon. It's just a fantastic tool that I highly recommend you guys use. The final thing that I recommend you guys do is get into Discords that have team building aspects to them, whether it be a content creators Discord like my own or other Discords that are available. Most content creators do have Discords. There are other just team building general Discords that you can get into. These are fantastic tools where people can post things like, oh, here's my team, I cooked a little bit, check out the PokePaste and let me know what you think of this particular team. And people can give their thoughts and opinions on a particular team. Like for example, here on this team that was listed, somebody's like, oh, this team looks like it's weak to Ice Rider, and that person could go, oh, I can now make an adjustment to that team to handle this issue that somebody else pointed out to me that I may have not realized when I was building the team. And that is definitely something that is super valuable in Discord communities, is you can get instant feedback from people in the community and say, oh, what do you think works here, what doesn't work here, and people can give you their thoughts and opinions, and that is incredibly useful for getting into competitive play. So that is the final tip that I will provide you guys for this particular video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you found a lot of useful information here on getting into competitive Pokemon outside of the basics. If you want the basics, like I mentioned at the front of the video, you have a ton of different resources here on my channel alone, as well as other content creators channels, that you can get in and actually see what is going on and how to get into competitive Pokemon from a basics level. But if you're looking to get more into what tools do I need to use, this was the video for you. And I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and sub for more videos like this in the future. Also be sure to check out the Discord, which is featured here. It's linked in the description below. You guys can hop in, get team building help, share reg age teams that can be featured in future videos, all that fun stuff here. But until next time, peace.